Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Alpha, the show where we talk about the hottest topics in pop culture and sports. As you guys can tell, probably, I sound better, I feel better. I was really sick in the last episode of the show, and you could tell and hear it in my voice, but we are back, we are energized, and I am ready to hop into some topics. This episode of the podcast, I can go ahead and say it's more pop culture heavy. As we all know, there's not a lot of news going on. The combine did happen this week. I will get with that in another episode of the show. But we have some football topics that I wanted to talk about, but this is majority pop culture heavy, to be honest. So all my pop culture fans, gear up, because I have been neglecting you guys to a certain degree. But we are going to get right into it, and we are going to have a good time. Again, if you guys are enjoying the podcast, be sure to look in the description. I have a link to the podcast is available on Spotify, and it is available on Apple Podcasts. If you guys just want to turn the podcast on, do some house chores. If you're driving on the road to work, having a lunch break, doing anything to where you just want to be able to listen to me and do whatever you're doing in your daily needs, that is available in the description below. So be sure to check that out, to follow that. And again, to all my YouTube and YouTube family, be sure to hit the like button on the podcast and subscribe, and to tap that notification bell to get notified when all of my videos go live. So the first topic we are going to talk about is the DCU. So Monday, we got a huge episodes of news that released pertaining to the DCU and just this week in general. James Gunn, I guess, had an interview with Variety where he was talking about the upcoming projects, his plan for the DCU in the coming years. So we got a lot of things that we got to talk about, and there's some things that I am intrigued about to a certain degree. Let's get into it, shall we? So it says right here, we're going to read the tweets again, as I said. James Gunn confirms a Teen Titans movie is in the works. Anna Naguaria, I guess the Supergirl Woman Tomorrow, I guess whoever she's producing that show, I don't think she's directing, is developing the script. Moving on, we have some news about the upcoming. What's the planning looking like for the films? How far are they set out into the DCU? And it seems like we got to look into that. DC has set a goal to release 7 projects a year. 2 live-action films, 1 animated film, 2 live-action shows, 2 animated series. There is a plan set for the next 6 years. James Gunn said as well that they're open to making a DC game equivalent to Marvel Rivals. And lastly, James Gunn says that they've been talking to NetherRealm and Rocksteady about developing more games. So the article then goes on to read, a lot has happened with DC in just 2 years. Gunn is deep in post-production of Superman, the first DC Studios movie, which he wrote and directed, while simultaneously working on post on season 2 of the Max series Peacemaker. Director Craig Gillespie is halfway through production on the summer 2026 film Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow with Millie Alcock. And production has started on Green Lantern HBO series Lanterns, which stars Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre, which is aiming to debut in early 2026. Along with those updates over the course of an hour, Gunn and Safran held forth on several topics, including the status of their initial state of the 5 films, including Batman the Brave and the Bold, The Authority, the 5 TV series, including Waller, Booster Gold, as well as confirmation about a handful of other projects, including Batman's villain Clayface, and a projected live-action movie about the Teen Titans, an animated series about Blue Beetle, and the future of Sergeant Rock movie now that Daniel Craig has withdrawn from consideration from the role. Here's where the big news starts. Stafford noted that DC Studios is ultimately aiming to release 2 live-action films and 1 animated film per year, and 2 live-action and 2 animated TV series per year. But the executives also reiterated their overall philosophy guiding their creative choices. Namely, that no project will get a green light until Gunn and Safran are satisfied with a completed screenplay. It is hard enough making a good movie without a good script. It's almost impossible making a movie with a script that you're writing on the run. This is why, for example, they greenlit Clayface in the strength of Mike Flanagan's screenplay, even though, as Gunn said, we had no plans of making a Clayface movie. Okay, I'm not going to bore you guys no more with that article, and I'm gonna just give you my raw reaction to just all the news in general. First of all, so to get into the Teen Titans, again, we're going to talk about each project just significantly. I'm interested. I'm glad that they're showing some love to a team like the Teen Titans. I don't know what kind of team they're going for. I see in the photo that they are promoting, you got like Flash and Cyborg in the photo. I don't know if they're going to go with that because I've heard with James Gunn, kind of waiting with the Flash right now, and I don't know what they're do not know what they're going to do with Cyborg. I imagine they're not going to be in a Teen Titans film because they're more Justice League characters nowadays. But characters I do expect to see in a Teen Titans, Beast Boy, Raven, Robin, or Nightwing. I don't know which one they're going to go for. I don't know if they're going to do a Damian Wayne or they're going to do a Dick Grayson. We don't know. It'd be interesting to see. You definitely got to do Starfire. And again, Beast Boy if I didn't mention him. So if you want to add maybe a Cyborg, I think would probably be the appropriate person to try and probably add to the film is Cyborg. But I think it is a good project to greenlight outside of probably Clayface. I really don't know why they're greenlighting a Clayface series. It's supposed to be rated R, it's supposed to be a horror, but at the same time, we were making a whole movie about Clayface when there's plenty of other characters who need some shine. The list could go on and on. You can do more Captain Adam, Black Adam, Green Arrow, Green Lantern, which, I mean, Green Lantern is getting a series, but we're talking about a film here. Green Arrow, Black Canary, give some Flash some redemption. Martian Manhunter. There's a whole lot of more characters that are more beloved than Clayface. I mean, granted, it's Batman lore. It's the Batman villain, the villain gallery for Batman. Batman is beloved by a lot of people. So maybe they're thinking that, I guess, whatever screenplay, like they said in the article, that they got for Clayface had to have been amazing in order for James Gunn to greenlight a series like that. Moving on to the next thing, the schedule release for the next, 7 projects a year, 2 animated films, 2 live action films, 1 animated film, 2 live action films, 2 live action shows, 2 animated series. Is planned out for the next 6 years. Smart. I think this is something that they're not trying to copycat Marvel. This is something that I've been stressing about when it comes to DC for the longest time. When they first started the DCEU with Henry Cavill, they tried copying Marvel. They saw the success of the Avengers and just all the films that led up to the Avengers. So guess what? They rushed into a Justice League movie without establishing characters like Flash, Cyborg. And then you throw them all together in a movie, and it just killed the story and the story you were trying to tell. Given that wasn't Zack Snyder's full vision at the time. Zack Snyder wanted to release a 3-ish hour to 4-hour movie. I don't know if the original cut, I know it was the Snyder cut, but I don't know if he added extra just because it was on HBO Max. Let me know that down below in the comments. We're not going to research it for the purposes of the podcast, but I don't know if Zack Snyder was going for maybe a 3-hour version of the Justice League, but inevitably, the stuff behind the scenes with his daughter sadly passing away. So Zack Snyder didn't really have creative direction in the film, and they got Joss Whedon in there, destroyed it, and now the DCEU is dead. So you need to run your own race. At the end of the day, is the story that I'm trying to tell. So given this is not a Marvel formula. Marvel is more live action heavy, so I think they're leaning into animated series, live action, animated film, and live action films. My only problem, and I want to emphasize this right now, the live action films need to be about the main characters in the DC. Okay, I don't want we don't need no Sergeant Rock and all that to be live action. No. We need the big hitters. Huntress, Hawk Girl, Hawkman, Green Lantern, Flash, Cyborg, Martian Manhunter. The list can go on and on and on. And if you don't, I know you don't want to do no Batman. If you want to, we already getting a Superman film. Establish Wonder Woman in some way, form, or fashion, live action. If you want to do a series, just like you're doing with Green Lantern, do that. Leave the animated stuff to things like the Blue Beetles, the Booster Golds, any of the side characters that are not as famous and not as beloved to the general audience. Do those in animation and see you get the reception off of that, and then apply it to live action. Because there's a lot of characters that you could, even Green Arrow, I believe, could deserve more live action. Black Canary, a lot of women characters. There's just a lot of characters that you can put in live action before something like Clayface or something like Sergeant Rock. I mean, again, I'm a DC guy. I've never heard of Sergeant Rock. I've only heard of Sergeant Rock when I was trying to watch Batman Death in the Family. And then it was like they took you through a comic book before you watched the movie. And then Sergeant Rock was one of the movies that we watched. And that's just me. I just don't think you should prioritize your main heavy hitters in live action. And then people like the Sergeant Rocks and the Booster Golds and the Blue Beetles, leave those in animation. Next, James Gunn says that they're open to making a DC equivalent to Marvel Rivals. I don't know how I feel about that. Leave Marvel, do your own thing. Leave Marvel Rivals where Marvel Rivals is. Marvel Rivals is a great game. We've obviously seen people already make up mods with, I believe Batman was Moon Knight at one point. It was mods that came out when the first, but the devs patched that. I don't think a DC Marvel Rivals would work because of, it's something that we always make excuses for in the gaming industry when it comes to making a DC game. But yes, in this sense, it is true. It's hard to make a game like that with characters like Wonder Woman, Superman, Flash. All of these characters are gods with godlike power. It is hard to do that in a video game with more mortals, with more mortal. I mean, I wouldn't say mortal-like powers, but they're not godlike powers. I mean, you got Punisher, Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Black Panther. None of these have Superman-level powers and threats. Even the way Thor. How would you even make Superman and Marvel Rivals right now? It is hard. You got to be able to emphasize the heat vision, cold breath, regular breath, super strength. That's a lot to do for a game like Marvel Rivals. I think I saw it on Twitter, so I can't give the fella credit. It's not my idea. It's something that he said. Something like Ultimate Alliance. I think that could work. I played Ultimate Alliance. I only played the first one. I wasn't able to play the second one. It could work. I think Ultimate Alliance would be, you get 4 of your best superheroes, and then you play the mission and play it out all the way. You get to change your superheroes whenever you want to. It's a great formula. Again, I know I'm kind of contradicting myself and saying that, hey, run your own race, but we need some DC characters in some video games. I love Batman, but I'm ready to see something else. And moving on to our last topic when it comes to not the DCU news, we got something else we want to talk about too. James Gunn says that he has talked to NetherRealm and Rocksteady about making more DC games. NetherRealm Studios specifically, we all know what they're famous for. Injustice. And they have not made an Injustice game in 9 years. There's been a lot of drama, particularly with Mortal Kombat 1 saying the way the engine was, and a lot of the pro players that's played that game, Ninja Killer himself said this. That game was supposed to be Injustice 3. You could tell by the gameplay. You could tell they rushed it. It was an unfinished product. They slapped Mortal Kombat in it at the last second. And for Rocksteady, they're going to make Batman games. Maybe they might make a Superman game, because I think that it's been teased before in the past that Rocksteady was making a Superman game at one point. I don't know. They did just come off of one of the worst video games of all time. I still haven't played it to this day because I've never been excited to play it. In Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So Rocksteady has got their work cut out for them. They're coming off of a dud. Do I think they should touch anything DC games? Absolutely not. NetherRealm at the same point too. They're starting to get on my nerves a little bit when it comes to their video games. But I give Ed Boon some grace. Mortal Kombat has been a great franchise for many, many years. Injustice, I love those games. If you want to make Injustice 3, Ed Boon, go right on ahead. Just please, let's pivot to a better direction than what we did for Mortal Kombat 1. Made the game a finished product. No microtransactions. Okay? I just want to play the game. I want to get some skins, earn them without having to pay money, and I want to have a good time. At the end of the day, that is all I want to have, is a great time. But overall, I am excited for the DCU. I'm excited to see what James Gunn has in store for the DCU. He is under a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And I didn't mean to forget as well, I think they did tease a series of My Adventures with Green Lantern, which I'm not excited about because I never watched My Adventures with Superman. I don't get with that animation style. I just didn't like it. It's more anime style. It's made by Adult Swim. I don't watch anime that much. I'm more into just regular animation, so not my cup of tea. I think they said something with Starfire as well, and I think something called like DC Superheroes. Let me make sure I'm right on that. I think it was Superpowers. DC Studios Superpowers. So that is the upcoming projects. Didn't want to make sure I didn't miss those out. And also we got projects like Paradise Lost, Swamp Thing, and The Authority, all of that. But those projects are deep into development right now. We don't know that. We just got a little sneak peek of what James Gunn said in an interview with Variety. But back to what I was reiterating. James Gunn's got to deliver. He's got to deliver. It's a great time right now with the state that Marvel is in, which we're going to talk about something with Marvel later on in the podcast. But Superman's got to be a hit. You got to sell me over. And the first thing you got to do, Superman has got to be good. Superman has got to be fantastic. It's got to be off the charts. I got to be leaving that movie theater and be like, wow, this is the best thing I've seen since Man of Steel in 2013. That's what I need to say coming out of that movie theater. Because it will be 12-ish, around 11, well, it'll be leaning towards 12 years since we've seen a solo live-action Superman film. So the DCU has its work cut out for it. Do I believe that there should be some better creative decisions going on when it comes to projects? Yes. I feel like you should have somewhat copied Marvel in the sense, established your heavy hitters in the Trinity, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, and then lean into everything else, like an Ant-Man project, compare that to The Flash, and so on and so forth. It's what Marvel did. They started with Iron Man, even though technically Hulk is still part of that. So you had the Hulk, you had Iron Man, you had Captain America, you had Thor. Then you made Avengers. You made Avengers and you used Avengers to introduce characters like Black Widow and Hawkeye. But the way they wrote it and the way they introduced them, they worked. Actually, scratch that. Black Widow was introduced in Iron Man 2, and that was before, that was before the first. That was before the first Avengers movie. So all of that was established before the first Avengers movie. So what you should do, in my opinion, establish your heavy hitters, then lean on towards the others, such as the Green Lanterns, the Martian Manhunters, and then make an eventual Justice League film. But I can't knock James Gunn for it. He's using a different approach. And I think he's kind of wanting to tell the stories individually and then hopefully maybe cultivate them into the same universe. I don't know what he's doing because, again, we're getting Superman. We're about to get Lanterns live action. So I don't know if they're in the same universe. I don't know if it's going to be their separate thing. It's going to be interesting to know. But at the end of the day, I am just glad to have DC content. I'm glad that we have a plan for DC. It sucks. I have been an advocate for the older movies. I enjoyed Man of Steel. I know it's tough to say this to the general audience. I enjoyed Batman v Superman. And I enjoyed the Snyder Cut. I enjoyed everything about it. I was wanting some more, but I understood the change of direction and the change of scenery. Again, I didn't care for The Flash, and I didn't care for Aquaman in the DCEU. But so far, I've loved all the castings in the DCU. I enjoy who they have playing Green Lantern, Superman, Supergirl, inevitably who they're probably going to have playing Wonder Woman. I think I'm going to enjoy it all. But you got to deliver. And there's no better time than now, James Gunn, to take over and get on top of Marvel. Again, that's going to be hard to do because the general audience leans more towards Marvel than they do DC. But at the same time, it can be done. I'm interested to see what the DCU has in store. Speaking of DCU and Green Lantern, James Gunn just released, think back maybe Thursday, our first look at Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler in the upcoming Lantern series. As it says in the tweet, we got our first look at Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler as John Stewart and Hal Jordan in Lanterns, releasing in 2026 on HBO. I have to be totally honest. Aaron Pierre looks amazing. And look at Kyle Chandler's right hand. Hal Jordan is already a Green Lantern. And let's just go ahead and get the negatives out of the way. Okay? I don't like the old Hal Jordan look. I don't like the older Hal Jordan idea. I have been complaining since this has been teased ever since. They said it was going to be a buddy cop movie. A buddy cop TV series starring Hal Jordan and Jonathan Stewart. I've said it since the beginning. I said, please, let them both be the same age. Let them be young. And let them kick some alien butt together. But no, we got Grandpa Hal, more than likely, playing mentor to Jonathan Stewart. I'm not against it. Do I care which one is in the main Justice League? I do not. Is there probably a chance I think that Hal Jordan probably dies in this? More than likely. I don't want him to, because look, I'm more of a Hal Jordan and John Stewart guy, me personally. I like Hal Jordan, especially with his tandem with Flash. I love their duo and their dynamic. I like their funny and how they bounce off each other. That's just me. But I am also a fan of John Stewart. Now, don't get it twisted. Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, it was John Stewart. Loved it to death. Still love it to this day. Did not love the Beware My Power, whatever that was made in back with the Tomorrowverse shows. I scratched those out of my mind. But looking at Aaron Pierre, he looks fantastic, in my opinion. Looks fantastic. You can't see his ring. We don't know if he's got the ring yet. We can't see nothing going on with his hand. They didn't go with the goatee. They're going with the shaved look. I don't hate it at all. The man looks like Jonathan Stewart. I mean, if there was a fan cast, this is him. This is the ultimate fan cast of all time. It looks amazing. I'm excited for the show. I'm very excited to see how James Gunn does this. The one thing I just don't want, I want Hal Jordan to live. Because I'm looking at Kyle Chandler right now. My Lord, he looked like he just got hit by a freight train. But it looks good. It looks promising. I'm very looking forward to what the suits are going to look like. I'm excited. In brightest day, in blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. For whoever worships evil's might, beware my power. Green Lantern's light. Oh, I'm the biggest geek in the world, but I don't care. I love Green Lantern. I'm so glad he finally gets some love out of the poor reception of Ryan Reynolds' movie a long time ago. I feel like Green Lantern has been so neglected specifically in the DCEU. We all know the drama that was going on in the Snyder Cut, to where that final scene with Martian Manhunter, that was supposed to be Green Lantern. It was supposed to be Green Lantern. And it was Jon Stewart. The guy looked amazing. Shout out to the actor who played him. I don't remember his name. Kudos to you. You filmed it in Zack Snyder's backyard. He looked amazing. He looked fantastic. So seeing that James Gunn made it a priority to go ahead and put the Green Lanterns at the front point of the DCU planning and just production. I've been questioning a lot of decisions you've been doing lately, Mr. Gunn, but I can agree with one thing. Superman and Green Lantern, your first priorities coming out. Kudos. Do I wish that you went ahead and prioritized Wonder Woman 2 as well? I would. I think that you probably got some creative decisions going on with that. You're trying to probably find the appropriate Wonder Woman. I don't know. You got a Supergirl at least. I can take it. I can dig it. But back to this. They look amazing. I am looking very much forward to what the DCU has in store with this story. Just their powers, the way the VFX work is going to look, and the CGI with the rings and the powers. Sinestro is going to be in here. I mean, it's just going to be amazing. I look so much forward to it, and I cannot wait to see what the DCU has in store with Aaron Pierre as Kyle Chandler as our Green Lanterns. Now it is time to move on to some football. Yes, I did say that this was going to be very pop culture heavy because there's been a lot of pop culture news the last couple of days. But we are going to move on into some NFL stuff because, there's always something going on with the NFL. If you were living under a rock the last couple of days, Deebo Samuel was just traded to the Washington Commanders. Sadly, in my own division as always. Why does it feel like as a Dallas fan, it's just everybody does something, just something cool outside of your own team? Last year the Eagles get Saquon. Depression in itself. They get AJ Brown, draft Smitty, get Cooper DeJean. I mean, it's Jordan Davis. I mean, the list goes on and on. Jalen Carter, when he was supposed to be drafted way before the Eagles got him. It's just, and then this past season, the Commanders draft Jayden Daniels after the fact that I wanted them to draft Drake May so they could suck, but they got the better quarterback. And then they go to the NFC Championship game. You have Terry McLaurin. You got Luke McCaffrey. You got Zachariah Brown. You got that nice corner that was balling. I don't know his name, but kudos to you, my man. You know who I'm talking about. Not freshman. He is a rookie. Just great. They got Zach Ertz, Brian Robinson Jr. at running back. I mean, it's just Frankie Louisville at linebacker. Jeremy Chin. They got a lot of Panthers players. I mean, it's just. And now they go out and get Deebo Samuel. I can't win. The Giants are fixing to probably draft Shedeur Sanders. You already got Malik Davis. It's just depression. I mean, I can't take it. I'm done, but we need to focus. We need to focus. To the story itself, Deebo Samuel in the Bay Area has reached an end. The San Francisco 49ers have agreed to trade the star wide receiver to the Washington Commanders, per CBS Sports. Lead NFL insider Jonathan Jones. As for the compensation, which is the worst part of this trade, the Commanders are sending a 5th-round pick to the Niners for exchange of Deebo Samuel. Mind you, the Dallas Cowboys gave up a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. 4th-round pick for a guy who's done nothing in the NFL, has a lot of potential, yes, but he does not have nowhere near the resume that Deebo Samuel has. And the Washington Commanders got him for a 5th-round pick. There's a lot of underlying factors to that. Yes, I understand that Deebo's got a hefty contract. He is going to need a contract extension after this upcoming season. He's older. He's got some weight issues. A lot of people have said he's injury prone. I get it. I 100% get it. But you cannot tell me right now that you couldn't have got Jonathan Mingo for like a 5th round pick or a 6th rounder even with the track record that he had over there in Carolina. Really? And you also spent a 4th round pick on Trey Lance, a guy who's not ever going to play for you. He's a free agent right now and he's not going to get re-signed. What are we doing? But that's just the outside of it. Going to the Commanders. This is a great pickup. This is something that I imagine Deebo Samuel was hoping to get. He is not going to be the number 1 option. Scary Terry, big dog Scary Terry, is going to still be the number 1 option. So guess what? Deebo Samuel he's not going to get their best DB. I can argue he's going to get put in the slot and he's going to cook. He's going to cook. You can line him up at running back. He's going to be a factor for the Commanders. As I stated a while ago, he's going to want a contract extension. And then if I'm not mistaken, I just crawled upon an article earlier when I was researching this. He's not going to agree to a contract extension just yet. So it's going to be something I am going to be interested to monitor going into next season. It is a valuable weapon for Jayden Daniels. It more than likely could bring an opportunity to take the ball out of Jayden Daniels' hands. We all know going into the season, Jayden Daniels hurt his ribs early on. He started running the rock a lot. He's lethal with his legs. This move right here can alleviate some of that, allow Jayden Daniels to become primarily a more pocket passer. Of course, he's going to take out and run when he needs to, but it takes away from the designed quarterback runs. You don't need that. Put Deebo Samuel back there, hand him the rock. He plays just like a running back in the backfield, and he can get you a first down. Okay. It is a great move by the Commanders. And I think the news was, I think the Commanders I don't want to lie to you. I can't remember the exact team that was in the running for Deebo Samuel, but there were 2 teams and the Commanders were one of them. And it seems like they went ahead and pulled the trigger, but we got to wait. March 12th is the official, transitioning into the next season. So the trade is not going to become official for a good 9 days. So he's got to get his physical and all. The trade could fall through hypothetically, but I have no doubt in my mind that Deebo Samuel is going to be fine. Everything's going to come back well, and he is going to be wearing the Washington Commanders logo and uniform come the 2025-2026 season. Great move by the front office. They just keep making Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, and all them the front office. I mean, Bob Myers, y'all continue to want to do a fantastic job. Congratulations to the Washington fans. They have been clamoring for a good team for a long time. New ownership, getting a new stadium. I think they're in talks right now to get back into Washington, D.C. It's just positive thing after positive thing going in there into Washington. Do I want to see that? Absolutely not. I don't want the Washington Commanders to be any good. What are we talking about? But I mean, I'm just being unbiased. I'm giving an analytic perspective to this. And it is a great move by the Commanders. And they just keep rising and rising and rising, getting more positives and positives and positives. I cannot be mad. I cannot be jealous. Okay. They are going to try and contend against the reigning Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles. And it was the right move to do so. And meanwhile, my team is just sitting packed and just, it's a long fight. Where's the Drake meme when Laugh Now, Cry Later came out? I mean, it's been a real long fight. And it's only going to get worse from here. Again, shout out to the Washington Commanders. Something else that happened in the NFL world yesterday, actually, which I am not shocked to see this. Davante Adams is in trouble in New York. His days as a New York Jet is more than likely donezo. And this is why. By our favorite guy, the rap sheet, in Rappaport, the Jets are now taking calls on wide receiver Davante Adams. open to trading him prior to the start of the league year. No surprise with his $38 million cap hit this year. Oh my God. If they can't get a deal, they are expected to release Adams, who could rejoin Aaron Rodgers with a new team. I don't know what's going to happen with Davante Adams. He's not going to be a Jet. We know Aaron Rodgers, they're not bringing him back, and Davante Adams, he was just traded there in the middle of the season, expected to make a playoff push for Aaron Rodgers. Everything backfired this season with the Jets. They were horrible this year. They were arguably more than likely the most disappointing team this season. So I don't know what he's going to do. I know this. Nobody is trading for Davante Adams. They are stupid if they do. That cap hit, $38 million. Oh, no. No. Nobody in their right mind is going to pick that contract up. He is going to get cut, and he's going to have to get a new contract. That ain't happening. Ain't nobody picking up that contract. I'm going to tell you that right now. Davante Adams is older. He has had some injury problems. He did play pretty well in New York. He's got plenty of good ball left in him. He's still a number one wide receiver. Let's not get it twisted. Davante Adams is still him, as they like to say, him. He's him, okay? He's still a number one. He's still that guy. Put him on the opposite of somebody like a CeeDee Lamb, Dallas. It ain't going to happen. I can only wish. A guy can wish, okay? We need another wide receiver. Cooper Kupp, somebody. We need somebody, okay? Anyways. Davante Adams, could I see him probably going to the Giants if we were going to talk about that later with the Aaron Rodgers stuff? Maybe. A team like the Steelers? Maybe. Patriots? Wouldn't want to go to the Patriots. I don't know. Wherever Davante Adams go, he is going to be an asset to your team. I just don't know exactly where he's going to go. Again, plenty of ball left in him for sure. I want Davante Adams to get away from Aaron Rodgers. Okay. I understand ever since he's left Aaron Rodgers, his career has just said nose diving. It just keeps going down. I understand that. But at the same time, just leave Aaron Rodgers alone. Aaron Rodgers just needs to retire. We're going to leave more than Aaron Rodgers later, but Aaron Rodgers just needs to retire. That's just where we're at. Now, moving away from sports, we are going to talk about something that I was scared about when this movie came out. I knew it was going to happen. I did not want it to happen, but it happened. And it is tragic. Captain America, Brave New World, suffered a 68% drop off in its second weekend at the box office. After a strong $100 million start over the extended President's Day holiday frame, Disney and Marvel's Captain America Brave New World crumbled by 68% in its second weekend with $28.3 million from North American theaters. Anthony Mackie-led Superhero Adventure, which remained in first place on box office charts, has generated $141 million domestically and $289 worldwide. Captain America's cost north of $180 million before marketing, making the production budget slightly less expensive than other Marvel tentpoles. It's not uncommon for comic book tentpoles on the scale of Captain America to significantly slide in subsequent weekends. Yet this film, saddled with the negative reviews and poor word of mouth, fell on the steeper side with a drop closer to Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, down 70% after a $106 million debut. Then Guardians of the Galaxy, 47%. Doctor Strange, and Thunder, 67%. However, those 22 films had much bigger debuts. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 endured a box office while Ant-Man 3 became one of the few Marvel movies that failed to cross $500 million globally. I saw this coming a mile away. I was scared for this. I made it in my movie review. Did the audience score is deceiving? By audience score standards, it was one of the lowest audience rated films in the MCU. It was bottom 5. Critics wise, it was in the bottom 5. They had a long weekend. Marvel was planned. It was just marketing 101. They tried to place this film President's Day weekend in February in Black History Month, the same way they did for Black Panther. They were hoping that everybody was going to go see this film and it being President's Day weekend, even though that they don't calculate that into the numbers. They were hoping in a 4-day weekend they were going to make a crap ton of money, which they did. But guess what? When everybody goes sees your film the first week, that second weekend is not going to be that good. In the contrary, if you made $400 million opening weekend and you make a 68% drop off, nobody is going to kill you. But guess what? You didn't make $400 million. If I'm not mistaken, I think it made $100 million. It was $100 million. Not that good. Not that good. And how does Marvel take this? Do they say now that is Anthony Mackie's Falcon going to lead the Avengers? Is he going to get another film? I don't know. Here's what I think about this. This movie didn't get great word of mouth. People didn't suggest it to their friends to go watch this movie. What I think will inevitably happen, I don't think they're going to make another Captain America film with Anthony Mackie as the starring role. I don't think it's going to happen. I am 100% certain he is going to lead the Avengers in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. But after that, I don't see him getting another film. It can't there's no way as a market, in the market right now with movies, the success they had with Guardians of the Galaxy and the success they had with Deadpool and Wolverine, the movie business stuff is not an excuse. COVID, all of that, it's not an excuse. People not going to the movie, it's not an excuse. You've had success with past films before you release this film. And now that we're you're farther and farther away from people starting to go back into the theaters now to watch movies. The past couple of movies in the box office has done very well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, The Lion King story with Simba and Scar, that made $800 million. I think maybe even $1 billion. So people are back in the movies. So saying that people aren't going to the movies like they were a couple years ago, that's not an excuse. I still think that is the movie business right now is nowhere near as good as what it was before COVID. I 100% agree with that. I believe that to be true. It is not as good as it was before COVID, but it's not as worse as it was during COVID. So we're kind of like towards getting almost back to where it was. Not fully there yet. I say we're probably 70% there. You cannot use these numbers as an excuse for that. I'm not having it. Marvel fans ain't having it. And then I know the Marvel executives ain't having it. This sucks. It really does. Again, $100 million to a lot of film franchises, that's all bahooku's of money. But guess what? They don't have that budget. And they don't have that stature like Marvel does. Marvel is the peak cinema. They are the biggest franchise in cinema history. This news is not shocking at all. And it is just, I don't see a scenario where Anthony Mackie is going to get another movie. It is not his fault. I think he should get another movie. I think he should have a movie that is a story centered to him. Because a lot of people have said, which I didn't bring it up fully in my movie review, it felt like Incredible Hulk 2. It didn't feel like a Captain America movie. Did it have the Captain America element about the presidential stuff, the political drama? That was what you got that aspect of. But at the same time, with the villain and the story that they went for, it felt like the Incredible Hulk 2. You done some marketing for this movie. I know that for certain. You done a lot of marketing. That's probably the reason why right now I don't think they're going to match. I don't think they're going to break even. I think they said this movie's got to make $430 million domestically to be able to break even. Or is it domestic or is it international? I don't know. I don't know the exact number. I know it's $400 million, but I don't know if it's domestically or altogether internationally. As a domestic or international might be the same thing. I don't know. Just forgive me. It's got this. Just cut it. Just say it's got to make $400 million. It does. So, I don't know, guys. I don't know. This sucks for Anthony Mackie. I really enjoyed him in the film. I enjoyed Harrison Ford. I enjoyed the guy who was playing Falcon, Danny Ramirez, I think is his name. This movie just suffered from poor production. It really did. Poor thought process. I think they forced this movie to be made. I wholeheartedly don't think it was in their itinerary to make for Captain America being a focal point into the movie business. But and another just interesting thing too, if Thunderbolts does better in the box office than Captain America 4 did, ouch, bro. That is going to suck. Because me personally, I am not nowhere near excited for Thunderbolts as I was for Captain America 4. I was actually decently ready to see Captain America 4. But if Thunderbolts goes in there and makes more money than Captain America 4, woo, boy, I'll tell you right now, if Thunderbolts, again, I'm going to say it again, if Thunderbolts makes more money than Captain America 4, you can just go ahead and cut it out for Captain America, for Sam Wilson getting another Captain America. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Fantastic Four as well. I don't really want to use Fantastic Four because it is a bigger IP. People adore the Fantastic Four a lot compared to Sam Wilson's Captain America. That's not in the same stratosphere. We're not going to compare that. I already know. I think Fantastic Four is probably going to make $800 million. But I'm telling you right now, if Thunderbolts makes more money than Captain America 4, oh boy, that's not going to be good. It lets you know the fans are not interested in Anthony Mackie playing Captain America. And that what I think they should do, got to reboot MCU. I'm sorry. But we got some other drama going on with that because there was some leaks. We're going to get to that later on in a separate video. Not this podcast, because I think I'm going to save that for another podcast. Be tuned for that. But Sam Wilson's days as Captain America might be short. Shorter than what it needs to be. Tragic, but it's going to eventually happen. I feel bad for Anthony Mackie. He didn't deserve this whatsoever. So this podcast has already been way longer than I wanted it to be. We're just going to talk about this one last topic. Where I did say this was going to be more pop culture, but we're just going to even it out. We are just going to talk about the Matt Stafford trade. Be on the lookout for the next podcast because I got some very exciting things I am going to talk about. I might not even save it for the podcast. I might just save it for a separate video. Be on the lookout for that. But we're just going to talk about this and just pertaining back to the Davante Adams trade and why I'm saying what we're going to say. Okay. Matthew Stafford gets a restructured contract and agrees to stay with the Los Angeles Rams. Matt Stafford is staying with the Los Angeles Rams under a reconstructed contract, ending weeks of speculation about the Super Bowl's winner's future. The 37-year-old had 2 years left on his 4-year, $160 million contract extension in 2022, shortly after leading the Rams to a championship in his first season. But his $27 million salary for the upcoming season was significantly less than the compensation for most quarterbacks of Stafford's stature. And the deal only had $4 million in guaranteed money remaining in 2025 and none in 2026. I don't know the exact, I still don't, I tried to find it. They don't have the exact contract details of of the restructured deal. So I imagine that Matt Stafford is back there. He's up there with the Joe Burrows, the Jordan Loves when it just comes to money. I'm guessing. Maybe it may not be. I mean, he might have got up where Jalen Hurts is at. So we don't know. We don't know. There's been a lot of drama going on this week with Matt Stafford. Trade rumors. You know, there was a story even about him playing some golf or something with Tom Brady, and they were talking about him going to the Raiders. You heard the Raiders and you heard the Giants. It's been going on for the last 2 weeks. So Matt Stafford is back where he needs to be. He is going to be a Oakland Raider. He is going to be a Las Vegas. Matt Stafford is back where he needs to be. He is going to be a Los Angeles Ram where he should inevitably continue his career and call it to an end sooner than later. They are going to trade Cooper Kupp. They're probably going to more than likely have to cut him. So Puka Nacua is going to be his number one option. I imagine coming up in the draft, they're going to draft a wide receiver. Inevitably, they're going to draft a wide receiver. They're trying to get off of Cooper Kupp's contract. Puka Nacua is the future. Probably get a tight end too. You got the running backs. You're good. So they were in the mix, heading, being a favorite to make the Super Bowl this year. They gave the Super Bowl champions a run for their money in that playoff game in the snow. So Matt Stafford's got plenty of ball left. The Rams, they have the chance to make a Super Bowl. I promise you that. Do I think they should do that with Cooper Kupp? Absolutely, but they obviously do not want to have any parts of Cooper Kupp's contract, so they are going to try and get off that as soon as possible. This is the right move for the Rams, and it's good to see Matthew Stafford get a pay raise because $4 million guaranteed going into next season. That's very cheap, in my opinion, and he only had $27 million for his upcoming salary when people like Dak Prescott is making $60 million. Rightfully so, Matt Stafford. Way to get your bag, bro. Shout out to your agent as well. And it seems that the Rams have their quarterback for this foreseeable future. And this leads to another aspect of the story that we're going to talk about. Aaron Rodgers is possibly going to the New York Giants. By report by Diana Rossini, the Giants are shifting their interests into getting Aaron Rodgers. They were in the running for Matt Stafford. So I guess the contingency plan was to eventually get Aaron Rodgers. Jayden, you ask, why does this tie into the Davante Adams aspect of the story? Because Davante Adams more than likely is going to be cut. Meaning, both guys are leaving the Jets and they get to stay in New York. Don't have to move the family, which, I mean, Aaron Rodgers don't have one. But do I think the Giants should do this? Heck no. No. I have been on the record saying this many times. Aaron Rodgers, don't want no part of him. He's old. He cannot move. He's a cancer in the locker room. Do something else. Is this the most wowing quarterback draft in the last couple of years? Absolutely not. Okay, the only two main quarterbacks that people love is just Shador and Cam Ward. Do you think they probably don't want to trade up? I think the Giants right now are 4. They're a top 5 draft pick. They screwed themselves out of the number 1 pick. So, meaning they are either going to get Cam Ward or Shador Sanders. They don't get to have their option of who they're going to get. Whichever ones the Titans do, or if the Titans have been talking about trading out of the number 1 pick, you're not going to get the guy that you were wanting. So why does that leave you? Getting somebody like Aaron Rodgers. Because you're not running it back with Drew Lock. Daniel Jones ain't there no more. And the Italian Stallion himself. I've done and forgot his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. You're not running it back with him. You need a quarterback. Does the idea of Aaron Rodgers, Malik Neighbors, and Davante Adams being on the same team intrigue me? Yeah. As a Giants fan, I don't think a Giants fan would be 100% opposed. But would I rather just continue the rebuild, draft a quarterback in the draft? Absolutely. I am more in favor of that. And I think John Mara, Brian Daboll, whatever the GM's name who got just been getting trashed on since Hard Knocks with the Saquon Barkley stuff. Do not get Aaron Rodgers at all costs. If you have to move up from your position and draft a quarterback, do it. I like Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. I have been a fan of Cam Ward specifically the past 2 years since he was at Washington. I have been a big Shedeur Sanders fan. He's got grit. Both of these guys have grit. They're accurate, tall, athletic. Don't have an injury history that I'm aware of. Those are your guys. Go get them. Do not get a 40-year-old quarterback who is going to be a cancer in your locker room, who is old, cannot move, and he's in the last days of. He's not Tom Brady. Okay, Father Time is father timing him very early on compared to when it father timed Tom Brady. And in my opinion, I think Tom Brady still probably had one more year left in the tank, but he went ahead and called it quits. Aaron Rodgers has not got that luxury. Okay, Aaron Rodgers is a future Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best throwers of the football of all time. All of that is true. But if you're the Giants, do not do this. Get young, draft, possibly still get Davante Adams. I would be still interested in doing that. Get somebody on the opposite side of middle league neighbors. But do not get Aaron Rodgers. If Davante Adams is saying to you in discussions, if you target him after he's cut, and he says, hey, I want to play with Aaron Rodgers, then maybe consider it. But if you're a Giants fan and the Giants organization, it's not going to get no better than what they did with the Jets and what he did with the Jets. And the Giants have nowhere near as a talented roster as the Jets did. Let's just keep it a buck. That is my thoughts on that situation. And we have reached the end of episode 5 of the Alpha Podcast. I did have one more topic lined up for you guys, but be sure I am going to talk about it in an upcoming video or an upcoming episode of the show. Again, guys, thank you for tuning into the show lately. It has been increasing my watch time and watch hours. I enjoy the profound impact that the podcast has brought upon the channel. And I'm going to continue to support it, and I'm continuing to make it to entertain you guys. If you enjoyed the podcast, if you enjoyed this iteration of the podcast, be sure to hit that like button on the video. Comment down below if you have any type of questions or want to say any argument, any opinion on any of the topics that I have discussed. Again, look in the description, as I stated earlier, to check out the Alpha Podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, so you can listen to it when you're in the car, when you're chillaxing at home doing chores, whenever you want, where you don't have to play it on your phone. You can turn that phone off and just do whatever your heart desires during that time. Be sure to check my other playlists down below as well when it comes to reaction videos, reviews, news commentary, and sports. I thank you guys for joining me for this episode of the show. I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, love, and positivity always, y'all. See ya.